my way to Phoenix. 86 miles to Redding. And there's Mount Shasta in the distance there. Not as much snow, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm following some trucks here. Jeepers. Just got into California. Well, it's about time you pulled over. Anyway, I'm averaging about 72 for 6 hours, which is a real good time. And next stop will be Redding, 86 miles. I think I can make it there. Anyway, sunshine, blue sky. I'm on my way. So far, so good. 861 miles, 71.75 average miles per hour. I'm cruising right along now. I don't know, what are we doing? Can you read the thing here? 87. Yeah, 87, that's pretty good speed. I'm turning, what are we doing? 3,500, 3,600, just cruising. So anyway, no traffic. It's becoming dusk, I guess is the word, and continue on. Easy driving right now. Way to go, Indians. All right, Indians in Florida. Okay, over now. Hey, it's, what is it, Thursday? On the road on I-10, coming, I'm about probably 230 miles or so from Phoenix. Boy, if I ever want to do a top end on the GLH, this would be the spot. As you can see, I got the road all to myself. It's straight as an arrow. But there's just too much wind. I don't even want to try it. Anyway, I'm just cruising along 70, 75. I have no need to hurry. 11:08. I guess I'd get into Phoenix probably, I don't know, 2:30 or so. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Better get gas here pretty soon. I just went 1,428 miles. I've been on the road for 3.5 hours today, and I was on the road for 16.5 hours yesterday. That's 20 hours I've been driving. And, well, you take 1428 divided by 20, 71.4 miles per hour. That includes my rest stops. So it's been a pretty expedient trip, should I say? Okay, about 50 miles to Phoenix. Hey, made it. Just getting ready to wash the car. Got to get some of the bugs. Check out the bumper. It looks like it's white and black. As those are white spots or bugs. Anyway, I got a little detail to do. I think I'm going to remove the grill, but made it here in about 21 hours, 1,492 miles, just 70.4 miles per hour average driving. That includes the stops, so did good. Anyway, expect to have some fun now. Bye.
Here, I guess, is you're going to be putting on kind of your own classes relative to your club and your equipment. And then Rick Hendrickson here is going to be giving some tours. We'll probably break it up into 2 to 3 groups, and I would imagine it'd be about half an hour tour roughly. Yeah. And so, depending on what the plans are in terms of the things you're going to present, you may want to discuss that and let people decide possibly what they're interested in to stay with the tour you want to be part of. But Rick will kind of show you around the facility, describe some of the things we do, what's going on here, and then you'll have this room for your use for what you're going to, for your own agenda. But you know, like I say, Rick's been here for what, 19 years? 19 years.
That's a couple of days.
Yes, a couple of days. He's been here pretty much from the ground up, certainly ever since we've been at this facility. prior to that, when we were just kind of a test operation running out of a kind of a rented garage. I've been here since 1985. It's changed a lot, and you know, current stress now is to speed to market, so there's a lot of things to try to bring new products online. I think we've done a lot of exciting things with Viper and Prowler and that type of thing in the LHs, and it's certainly helped turn Chrysler around since the early days. And it's been fun to be a part of that, and you know, we're really glad to have you guys here. It's nice to have an enthusiastic type people that really like the product and are involved in it. So, welcome here.
Oh.
Can you do that over? Take two.
Take two.
If y'all haven't got your name tags, come up here and find them. If you didn't get one, give me your name and I'll get one made up for you.
Yeah, I need to get one.
All right.
Go down to Speed World after this and do some drag racing.
Rod, supposedly.
I'll go lunch.
That's the
Rod. Rod.
you open up the old. What's the record out there?
Oh, I think about 179 or something like that.
What was that in?
Viper.
Ian Garrett.
2 miles. It's not banked all that much. It's a little tight, you know. They were trying to, you know, get 100, I think 80 or something like that. Get very close, but the turns get pretty tight at those speeds. You know.
How big's the radius?
Well, I think it's like 2,500 foot radius or something like that. It's the top lane is a neutral steer of about 100 miles an hour.
Hands up.
Hands off, right? You know, so you start doubling that, you get some pretty good G-loads in the turn section. And then you go, you know, from a radius turn into a straightaway and back. The lanes aren't all that wide, so the guardrail's close, so you just kind of white knuckle it.
I held the record for a number of years out there for at 152 because we developed 87 LeBaron convertible pace car for the Indy 500. We did development work on it here. And Dave Zelkowski and Dick Winkles were out, and I was mechanically for him, and we got it up and running. And driving a convertible with the top up, 152 was spooky. Dave Zelkowski sitting next to me watching the interrogator box, and I'm scooting around there. Anybody else?
I don't know how long your classes or different sessions you're going to have here, your presentations, but it may be appropriate to try to spread them out or something between tours and alternate, or maybe just hold off and try to get the tours out of the way and then do the presentations if they're not that long. I think you're here till what, 11 o'clock or something like that. Basically.
I think we'll get the tours out of the way.
Yeah, we need to get one. Tour in.
That's what I'm saying, so you may want to do that, and just go ahead and do the tours. It will take a couple groups to do it, because we only have the 150 passenger van.
And I can bring the camera with me, of course?
No.
That was a very strong.
No cameras outside of this room.
Are you sure?
When you see the cars over there?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Right on the...
You'll see them in camouflage.
Security,
I'll take a picture of it and look at it.
yeah, security has obviously been a major concern of Chrysler since we've got successful. There's been a lot more interest in our products, and I don't know if there was, I guess, an article in last weekend's paper, and we've been living with this now for a couple of years. Mr. Jim Dunn, who is a writer, Popper Mechanics, some other freelance. Yeah, he's got a little section we used to call Grandma's Curve over here, and he's got, I don't know, 5 acres or something like that.
Yeah, it's about 5 acres.
Did he build his tower there? I heard
No, he hasn't built the tower. We don't use that end of the facility anyway for our testing. It's there. We don't allow any security vehicles on that side of it. But you know, we ended up buying, you know, some area around the perimeter proving grounds. We have about 3,500 acres that's in main use with the road system on it. We probably have about that much again in kind of buffer areas, and we have some areas that we possibly could open up for some off-road Jeep work. And the north of us, it's a little rougher territory if we find it necessary. But right now, there really isn't any major plans to expand the facility in terms of the road system off into these other areas. We want to keep that as just pretty much a buffer area so that we have less of a problem with visitors with long-range cameras. It's, you know, they do their job, and you know, that's their thing, and they're all over town. You see photographs all the time, and so as a result, we have gone to camouflage on almost all the vehicles all the time. And about the only time we'll take them off would be like after dark at night, we'll run some special tests where we can have them off.
Is that just to cover up body lines, or?
Yeah, it's, you know, it's just practice.
I remember when the truck came out, everyone, you know, had idea drawings and they were absolutely nowhere close.
Yeah.
Like with the Mustangs, at least they were kind of close when they came out, but the Rams were totally different from whatever.
Well, the Rams that we had, the camouflage I had, the back was basically left alone. We didn't cover it, but the front had a fiberglass cover that looked like the previous.
Chevy or something. It was kind of a square, boxy.
Yeah, that's what everyone was.
Yeah.
Of course, it did its job, obviously.
Yeah.
Now, we rent a facility here too. In the summertime, we get lots of trips in, and different manufacturers, like Rolls-Royce comes in, Mercedes rents for a few days. But when Rolls-Royce comes in, they have complete camouflage with an extra body panel covering the whole car. And inside the shop, when they're in there and they open the doors, the whole shop smells of leather. But we rent to quite a few different companies. Volvo comes in and rents here, Range Rover. And we just kind of got a thing with them that, hey, they see our cars, we see their cars, nobody says anything. Mitsubishi was renting here permanently for quite a while. They just pulled out. But they had a spot here where they did some of their testing out of here all the time.
Arizona's a pretty popular place for proving grounds. I don't know how you're aware or not, but just about all the major manufacturers have a facility somewhere in Arizona. Ford happens to be probably the furthest away. They're up at the Upper Flats, just southwest of Kingman. You've got General Motors across town. Toyota's right here, about 10 miles from us. Volvo's also right there off of Joe Nash Road. And then you got Nissan.
The Volkswagen's out here.
Volkswagen's down there.
Range Rover, Jaguar,
Well, if you can make a car live in Arizona, you can make it live anywhere.
basically.
Oh, that's good.
One of the nice things we have here, there's a couple things going forward. It's obviously the heat, but then there also the dust. Mountain grades is another good thing. Plus, there's good transportation in and out. I mean, it's right on an interstate system. You got big airports, Sky Harbor, things like that. So it's pretty easy to get people in and out. And it was remote areas, not obviously that anymore. It's getting to the point where, GM's talking about moving their facilities. The grounds become so valuable that they may actually move into Pinal County and sell that and let it be developed. Because as you get people building up around you, then you start complaining about noise. And we even have some of that already. People on the north are complaining about Viper exhaust smoke and stuff like that. So, yeah, I know.
Give us
Yeah, so, there's all kinds of problems, but, like I say, Arizona does have a lot of ride developments done because of the temperature. When it gets cold in Detroit, it's hard for them to evaluate the barometer, the bushings and things like that. It just changes so much. So in the wintertime here, things like brake testing and ride development take a precedence over, say, some of the other stuff, because that's really when it's optimum time for doing that. So we're definitely a year-round facility. Years ago, we focused pretty much on testing. It would slow way down in the winter. Now, our visitor log it varies a little bit, but the winter time, fall and spring is just about as busy as any time. But the main focus for visitors is the summer when we're into the really hot temperatures. It gives them that window of time to see the 100 to 110 degree temperatures when they're testing at the various compounds. In terms of the
110, I mean, what we get once? Twice?
Well, yeah, but obviously the products have to be able to live in that, and somebody on a vacation coming through this part of the country can't afford to be surprised. They're not, thinking about it, and we want to make sure that they're able to.
What do you guys do when it's 125 on your way?
We had 122
That'd be hotter out here.
Do you guys just throw out all the cars to see if they break or what?
No, I mean, we can continue to run our normal schedules, and we really, you get a little more cooling issues. It kind of shows some products more sensitive. Some ran, no real problem. I really don't, at that time, remember anything particular happening. I think we'll have
taxing ACs.
Yeah. That type of thing, but we continue to run our tests as normal at that point in time. We didn't shut anything down because of this, not like airplanes that should.
Oh, I just wondered if you like threw out all the cars, if you like really broke.
You'd always do a market survey and get the older people that drive the LH stuff and make it so they run hot when they come to Arizona so they don't stay here too long. That'd be a great marketing idea.
No, we want to try and encourage people to stay in our products and then get out.
I mean, they only drive 30 miles an hour anyway. They don't need a whole lot of a cooling system or anything else.
Are there any plans to make the Avenger maybe a more performance-oriented car?
As far as I know, we're probably going to sever our ties with Mitsubishi.
We're having a lot less than that,
That's a Galant-based car or something?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know who's running your show here in terms of
Chris?
schedule, but like I say, we got a room for about 12 people in the van reasonably comfortably, and we probably got about 3 times that now, it looks like.
Well, I have not met. My name is Ed Peters. I had 27 years with Chrysler. I retired about 4 years ago, so this was kind of my domain away from domain. I didn't work out of Detroit. I was usually out here on one lap trip. And we would come out and pick up pre-production cars, and we'd take them either from Detroit to here, or from here back to Detroit. So I spent a little bit of time out here. Not a whole lot. It's changed a lot since I've been away for 4 years. What I'm going to do is I want to take you guys through some of what's in the back of your minds. A lot of you said, well, it's going to talk to us about performance. Performance to Kevy can be totally different than performance to John. What's performance to Kenny might be totally different than what Rich thinks. Some guys think that putting Mobile 1 in their car is performance. Some of you guys think that maybe spending $5,000 is performance. And what I want to do is I just want to throw a lot of things out here on the table. It is not promoting what I sell, because that's the business that I'm in now. I own Peters Engineering, and I'm not here to promote my stuff for you to see my name on anything. I just brought it because this is stuff that I've sold. Most of this is all sold pieces, so don't damage it on me. I got to eventually package this stuff up and put it in a componentry package for somebody and sell it to them. But so that I can jog your memory and try to keep you guys from going the wrong direction. There's a number of vendors out there that do a good job. You got Forward Motion, you got Lambros in St. Louis, and I think there's a Kraken that's up in some place in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, that does a pretty good job on cylinder heads. But when you guys go off the deep end, and you got a fellow that maybe he does good, I hear this story all the time, well, this guy builds some really fast Chevrolets. And to build really fast Chevrolets doesn't really build a real fast Dodge. So what I'm going to try to do is take you guys through some things. We're not going to be able to cover nearly anything today. We're going to cover just some basics. And then we're going to come back up and I'm going to try to show you the right way to do it to where it doesn't cost you a lot of money. Now, a lot of what's sitting out here is parts and pieces that'll make 300-400 horsepower. And a lot of you are not after that. You know, Al's not after anything other than trying to get his car running, you know. And we got to get John going. Where's John's 5 We got to get Johnny going out there this afternoon and get him some boost in his car.
I checked the rod's loose. It's springs ready.
So we got a wastegate on. Okay. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to go through just some real basics. We're going to talk about basic engine modifications, I think initially. And then what we might do is before we go drag racing this afternoon, we might do this out on the patio of the motel. We might do it in the parking lot out there tonight. But anyway, what we're going to do is we've got a couple guests that are here with us right now. And I don't want to take any of their thunder away from them. But I want you to listen to a good friend of mine. Greg Nichols is with Total Seal. Greg and I worked together on some neon development rings for the road race guys. It really got me out of the problem because I built most of the neon road race motors and most of the Grand Touring stuff for Puerto Rico and for Chrysler Mexico and their touring series. And he developed some gapless rings for me that really, brought that engine to life. Anyway, what I want to do is kind of just take you through some various things. Like I say, we're going to try to kick it into categories. We're going to talk about maybe engine blocks, and we'll get into cylinder heads, into turbochargers and exhaust systems and suspension and brakes, and kind of break it off into categories to where I can put stuff back in boxes and then I can take it out so I can play show and tell. If I just sat here and lectured to you guys, you're going to go home with about 10%. But if I hand you a part and you look at it, and even though it's a part that maybe I designed and I modified, you may not like it, go to some other vendor, that's fine, but at least it'll give you an idea of what you're looking at. So when you go to that vendor, you can tell him what you want, and you not being naive and stupid, he's not going to pawn something off on you. And that's really what I'm trying to get across through. Okay? Anyway, Greg, this is Greg Nickel. He is with Total Seal. This is a guy that got me out of trouble, and he has a heck of a good product, and I endorse him wholeheartedly. And he was gracious enough to come out. There's some new development that they have in rings
That you hadn't even seen.
that I haven't even seen yet, because I've used both Seal Power and Hastings and his stuff is a combination, or was a combination of both. They've finally got to the point now where they're doing a lot of in-house things. His leader, Joe Mariardi, is a good friend of mine, which they're home based up in New Hampshire.
Greenland, New Hampshire.
Greenland, New Hampshire. And when I was with Chrysler Powertrain, Joe used to come over and visit me when I was up at Highland Park in Detroit. And he, at that time, wanted to get off into the OE ring business, and OE means original equipment, but they couldn't handle that volume at the time. Anyway, Greg, it's yours. You talk to me.
I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to come out and address you. I've got several things that we can go over and open it up to a question and answer session here. If you've got some problems or questions about piston rings, I'll try to answer them. I passed around a packet. Did everybody get a goodie bag or whatever you want to call it? And what Total Seal is, ring manufacturer. We've been here in Phoenix for 31 years. We're just starting our 31st year. And as Ed said earlier, we were basically buying Hastings, Seal Power, reboxing in the early days. In the last 2-3 years, we have brought in our own equipment, and we're now producing a lot of rings ourselves. The main benefit to Total Seal is our gapless ring, the second ring. I've got samples here that I'll pass around. There's one ring here called a Molly Max. That is a plasma ductile top ring, and that's what you all will want in your type of motors turbocharged. We offer two different grades of rings. We offer what we call a TS1 and a TSS. You've got a catalog, it'll show you in there. But a TS1 is a ductile ring. I could take this ring, bend it double, it won't break. It'll take detonation, it'll take nitrous, it'll take turbocharging, up to about 1800 degrees at the ring face before it's going to blow the moly out. Same ring that's used in the nitro funny cars. So, one way you can tell if you've got a good ring or a bad ring, I'll be quiet here and I'm going to hit this on the head here and you'll hear a ching or a thud. Hear how that kind of ting? If it was a cast ring, it'd just go thud. And that's a good ring. We have come up with a new finish for our rings that we started doing just this year. We'll announce it at the SEMA PRI show. We've also come up with a new finishing process overall. This is our Molly Max. Just go ahead and pass it around. Feel the texture, feel how smooth the side of the ring is. That ring will seat up quicker upon installation, and standard 380 or 280 to 320 or 380 to 420 hone for installation, and they seat up very fast. The Total Seal ring is a two-piece ring. It goes in on the second cylinder or the second groove, and what it does is, I've got a poster, you all got this, it'll go in here, the gas that gets blown by leaks down through the top, gets in behind the ring, and it actually becomes a gas-loaded ring. The total seal I'll pass around, on initial startup on the dyno, you probably won't see but a couple of horsepower or even no horsepower increase over a good set of Speed Pro or Hastings rings. Where you're going to see big benefits in our rings is after you've run it 100 miles, 500 miles. NASCAR truck motors generally you lose about 25 horsepower with the standard ring. With our ring in there, they were losing 15 horsepower over a 500-mile race. IRL, you know, they had quite a year this year. Indy this year, we had 24 of the 35 starting cars using total seal rings. Wright told us that their motors went from 9 inches of pressure in the pan at 10,000 RPM to 5 inches of vacuum. The only thing he changed was the ring. The total seal ring is what we like to say power that lasts. It's going to stay with you through the life of your motor. There's a lot of R&D work being done right now in the oil control ring, and a lot of people are going with some different widths and different tensions. That is not somewhere that the novice wants to go. Just stay with the standard stuff because it can really get you messed up there. Excuse me. If you go to have a set of pistons made and you think, oh, I'm going to have a trick ring put in there, you're not going to gain that much, but there are some benefits. Another ring that we have developed and we brought out a few years ago that is used a lot in the turbocharging applications, and it's what Ed referred to earlier, is our slant gap, which I'll pass this around. You can see that the ring is cut at an angle. What happens in a nitrous, a turbo, or high compression application, you might get detonation, and that will walk the rings around. And the two rings will line up occasionally in some severe instance. With the slant gap ring, they can never line up. It's just a little benefit that we brought out. Go ahead and pass it around. Yeah. They're not, it doesn't need a lot of time, just in extreme applications. If you ever leak your motor down, do you know what a leak down, most of you know what a leak down test is. Okay, you leak your motor down, go ahead.
I hate to interrupt, but we just pulled the prowler up out here. If you want to look at the prowler, we got it about 15 minutes before the driver has to go back out.
I'm done. Back to the rings. So that's basically the total seal story, you know, is our second ring. What you'll also see with the total seal rings is higher intake manifold vacuum, which, as Ed's going to go to on his valve cover, that creates some other problems that if you don't correct, you're going to blame the rings because you're burning oil. We'll typically increase the vacuum somewhere from 4 to 6 inches on a V8. I don't know what you see on the 4 cylinders, but we've had some Fords, 302 Fords, injected motors that had such a bad casting that with the increased vacuum, we were sucking oil straight through the manifold. And I forget what year it was, but there was 1 year of 302s that was very bad at that. So we recommend the valve guide seals. A lot of people like the Teflon seals. That is not a good seal to be using, in our opinion. We go to a Vicon seal. It's a much better. Teflon takes a set, and after you use it a little bit, it's not doing the job. We have patented and have designed a perfect or a full valve seal But once we got it all done and ready to market it, there's such a variance in the valves that your valves are not round, that it wouldn't do the job that we